a climate change agreement that doesn't differentiate between developed and developing countries. That's what the Foreign Affairs Minister Julie Bishop has called for at the climate talks in Peru. Australia has called for a legally binding agreement that establishes a common playing field, but also takes into account differing national policy approaches.
The 2015 agreement must be an agreement that countries will sign up to in Paris and implement back home. Australia takes on international commitments that we know we can deliver. We do what we say. That is our track record. We expect the same of others. We are clear about the conditions that will deliver the kind of agreement we need in Paris. All countries, in particular major economies, will need to make credible emission reduction commitments. We welcome the announcements by the world's largest economies on their post-2020 emission reduction plans. We look forward to further information on these plans when contributions are formally communicated next year. For our part, a task force has been established in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet to consider a post-2020 target for Australia to bring to Paris. The task force will consider Australia's international emissions reduction targets and settings, taking into consideration action by the major economies and our key trading partners. We will announce our intended nationally determined contribution by mid-2015. The Paris Agreement also needs to establish a common playing field for action by all. The binary divide between developed and developing countries, as reflected in the Convention annexes, does not reflect current economic realities.
The Greens leader Christine Milne is also in Lima for the conference. She'd like to see a strong consensus in the lead up to next year's Paris meeting, but says Australia is not playing its part.
Well, the country that's not pulling its weight is Australia and Canada with it. Talk about the two countries that are seen as really on the outer here in Lima are Canada and Australia. Because China and the US had their announcement ahead of the G20, because other countries are stepping up to higher targets and greater commitments, the role that Australia is playing, saying now that it won't sign up unless it gets what it wants, just means that Australia is going to be isolated. What that will mean, though, is that people will start to see Australia as a backwater and we will be bypassed by international capital, because there are really substantial economic opportunities by being involved in emission reduction and in inviting that money to go into new businesses, new technologies, new jobs in Australia. But that will not happen if we keep on trying to promote coal.